Let's bring in two of the best. Former Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway, now a Fox News contributor, by the way. Kellyanne, congratulations and welcome on board. And Mark Penn, former Clinton pollster and advisor, good morning to both of you. Before I get to the Monmouth poll, 5 weeks from today, midterms go down. And it appears you've got this theme now in America and around the world. There's no order. There's no order on the border, Kellyanne, crime in big cities, the economy, student loan forgiveness, decisions out of Washington, D.C., the issues in Europe, and Putin's war as well. There's no order could be a theme for what happens in early November. How do you see it?
It's true, Bill. Chaos and crisis everywhere you look. And a feeling of insecurity, a lack of safety, a lack of accountability in our government, and truly the sense and the reality that everyday life is increasingly unaffordable. We're hearing from job holders. They're saying we have 2-3 jobs in our household. We're not afraid of losing a job or replacing a lost job. We're afraid that the job is no longer enough. Too much regulation, the utility bills, food, groceries, insurance payments, rent, mortgage. These are the everyday concerns people are echoing. But you're absolutely right. I think the theme going into the midterms is really security and affordability, fairness, education. The Monmouth poll laid bare that independents have a 21% approval rating of Joe Biden on the economy, also their #1 issue. If you have 80% of Americans saying the economy is, quote, extremely or very important, and then you have a 30% approval rating on that and 21% among independents, your party is going to lose its majority, probably in both chambers. And finally, you know, the Republicans only need 4 or 5 seats to take the majority. But if they win 18 seats, they'll have the largest majority since 1994. If the Republicans win 30 seats, they'll have the largest majority since a century. So this is a truly incredible moment for them if they just keep on making the Democrats eat and own all their policy failings and flailings, and they have this affirmative, actionable message, the commitment to America. They can have a very, very good election day.
Mark, I guess you could ask the question, what's going right? Here's the Monmouth poll, okay? Approval, disapproval. These are the top 5 issues that America talks about: inflation, crime, elections and voting, jobs and employment, and immigration. The disapproval number for Joe Biden is well underwater on just about everything except for elections and voting. You heard Kellyanne's response. How would you respond to the election 5 weeks from today?
Well, there's no question this is not a good poll for Democrats. I mean, it's indisputed, really, that this shows more of a shift, several points, in the Republican direction. And I think we've seen that out of a number of polls. I think the fascinating thing about this poll is that among Democrats, inflation, crime, immigration are not even the election issues. That actually, among Democrats, Biden has an over 80% approval rating, and the issue is all voting and rights. So I think the Democrats have done a good job of saying, hey, those aren't even the issues. And I think the Republicans have been pounding away that these are the issues, and I think that's been winning with independents, and that's why I think realistically the polls are trending in that direction.
Kellyanne?
There are 2 campaigns, 2 sets of issues.
Kellyanne?
Yes, I mean, of course, the fact is that voters tell us what's important to them. We don't tell them. And I think Joe Biden's playing an inside game here by spending trillions of dollars of money we don't have on things we don't need, really trying to mollify that left wing. And as Mark points out, still holding steady among members of his own party in an overall approval rating. But let's face it. Every day, Joe Biden and the Democrats wake up, and a few Republicans wake up, and it says January 6, 2021 on the calendar. And yet, for most Americans, they're looking at October 6, November 6, December 6, when the rent is due, when the student loan payment is due, when the utility bill is due. And they're very frustrated to not have a president, and certainly a vice president, goodness, to respond to these everyday concerns. Last point I'll make. I think the Democrats know they're going to lose the House and likely the Senate. And they're preparing for that, which is why I think Joe Biden is outwardly political, taking pot shots at the former president. They're probably very afraid of a cage match rematch, not being gracious enough, frankly, to Governor DeSantis as a hurricane was hitting and destroying so many lives and livelihoods and property in Florida. So it's almost as if they know what's going to happen. But I'll tell you that climate change, abortion, January 6th, these are the issues Democrats want to run on. That is not what the majority of Americans are telling everybody in their polls.
I have 15 seconds, Mark, and I want to get you in here. Well, if you're a Democratic candidate, how do you answer the question, what's going right in America now?
Well, you're going to have to say what's going right is that the Democratic Party helped people through COVID, got us through the worst of it, put everybody back on their economic feet, and is doing something about, climate change and trying to reduce inflation, as painful as it is. I think that's going to be your best Democratic case, as opposed to the case about voting and rights.
Okay, thanks to both of you. See you next Tuesday, all right? 4 weeks away then. Mark Penn, Kellyanne Conway, thank you for chipping in today. Appreciate it.